Alright, I'm gonna say it. Thank you, Konami. You actually saved the game. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more. I was going to storm that out in the nice office. I'm actually super tired, and I was like, oh, I want to talk a little bit about the format here, just in general for today. So we have Kong's Cards tournament results. I'll have them up Wednesday for you guys. Yes, there was a Lightsworn deck in the top 4. We'll go over all of that. But I do want to talk about some things that I'm seeing here and just discussions I've had. And Baron and Borreload Savage being gone from the game was simply just the most ingenious thing that I've actually seen. Now, I've read speculation for people going Appaloosa needs to go, just impermit. It wipes the Appo. I never really have a problem with Appo personally, and it's also not Nominee Negate. But Borreload Savage and the loss of Baron took out those generic negates that you've been all seeing out here. And it actually, based on what I've seen so far, Snake Eyes and Fire King don't necessarily feel like they're very strong decks right now. Believe it or not. And yeah, people are going to be like, Robbie, you're crazy. You know, Fire King is still going to be a good deck. The problem is, though, Legacy pulls the meta in such opposite directions, with the ultimate OTK machine of Tenpai being at one end of it, and then on the opposite side of this you have Yubel, which just exists as a detour magnet, both of which, by the way, use their battle phase, which is kind of hilarious actually, but it just so happens one reflects damage while one creates such an absurd amount of things to push it that it's great. Now, with Baron and Mr. Borreload Savage Unfun Dragon being gone for the most part here, the format has actually had the chance to open up and actually, believe it or not, it is fun. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because most people looked at this format on the very basic surface level right now. If you've not had the chance to explore this or start to mess around with yet, deck building is actually way more interesting. Once again, though, Tenpai Dragons and Yubel are going to be some problematic things. We'll have to wait and see with how that all shapes up. But the exploring of deck building has been really good. And also, I spent a good solid 2 hours yesterday actually just sitting here playtesting the Gold Sarcophagus Yugi deck. Those of you that know, I've always been a huge fan of the gadgets. So when a deck comes out that, hey, you know, Robbie, are you gonna mess around with this? I don't worry. I've been actively playing it. And watching these decks not be able to end on Baron or Borreload for their negates actually brought down the ceiling in the format. I know. Honestly, there were a couple OCG decks I played around with, you know, obviously Rika and some of these interactions, but honestly, Runic also feels a lot more insane now. I no longer have to, you know, normal and a mono to outpace, you know, a field of negates. We don't have to do that anymore. In the Fire Kings now, and on what, a Promethean Princess, an SP, they have to use the Relinquished Anima now as a stepping stone to set things up. Shifter, oh man, I gotta give a shout out here to Shifter. Holy crap. I didn't realize how... I knew Shifter was an ignorant card. And I knew that it would steal games. But now that you have peeled back the power on the format, holy crap. It actually is insane how good Shifter actually can be. Especially against Tenpai Dragons, if you take away their graveyard from them, they can't spam up and do the little revive extensions. So you might actually survive because of Shifter. But that's a story for another day. This format's I feel like it's gonna come down to how many hand traps can we jam pack into this sedan and see what we can kind of mess around with out here. I do fully expect 100% that so many people they're just so discouraged from last format that they don't actually want to try this out right now, or they're discouraged by Tenpai coming. I mean, you're on what, like a glorious week gap here? Oh, it's sneak peek weekend, by the way. So most of people, a lot of events are going to have people playing with the new stuff anyway. So you're going to get a little bit of a taste of what's to come on that front of power. But it's so nice to be optimistic about Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. Like, I think you can genuinely see the excitement in me that has definitely sparked this. And it's not because I'm some old, angry Runic player out here. I did have somebody call me a terrible YouTuber, and that I should never be allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Again because of me normal summoning a mono against him and him scooping and getting upset. But, you know, hey man, I'm sorry. Like, a mono's just... I'm sorry that you had to put 30 negates on the field and one Rocky Boy just breaks your whole field. Like, just get good. Alright? Like, I'm sorry. Like, it just happens. Alright? Maybe build your deck a little bit better. Maybe play some back row removal. You have ways to beat the deck. I'm not 100% unbeatable out here. I do want to give a quick shout out here to something for those of you still watching this and listening to my optimism. Set rotation. Holy crap. That card is nuts. Do you also know that Necro Valleying a Tenpai Dragon player is one of the greatest feelings you can ever have in the world? I've watched Set Rotation cut off Tenpai Dragon players in the mirror match. I've watched Necro Valley just literally give the biggest middle finger to that matchup. Genuinely, I didn't think that I would see the day where Necro Valley would be relevant again, but you know what? It's back, and it is actually a very strong card. Holy crap. And to top things off, you know, if you're not out... Honestly, this field spell game, we do have Vidos out here. I am kind of curious to know if the TCG is going to try to incorporate Vidos in as a side deck option. You might not have noticed it last format, but Vidos was there as a side deck option. Not a big one. Not a big one at all. But it was there enough that you might have seen it on some very rare regional list. But as this format, as we're about to see, the duels of the field spells, and if, you know, Set Rotation's storming back into the format out here as a card, you might want to look at Vidos as that option to pick off these field spells so you don't have to deal with the little crazy BS that comes with this. I don't like the idea of giving my opponent a huge monster. Not at all. But it's an option. Alright, so overall, Yu-Gi-Oh! Feels fun. But... if you're a fire player, I think you're going to see these Diabellstar cards probably plummet pretty hard here. I know. I'm so... Somebody's going to be like, Robbie, are you okay? Like, have you, like, foreseen the future? If what I have seen comes to pass, oh yes, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Oracle, you're probably going to see all of this hype around this fire stuff start to dwindle, or somebody figures out the deck and we go in a very interesting direction. But from what I'm seeing right now, the polar extremes of this format don't really... they're not going to be kind to those decks in the middle ground. But we'll have to wait and see. But hey, you know what? I'm actually happy to see what optimism, or what we're going to see for opportunity out here for players to try out. Because remember, May 12th starts up the national season for Europe. Alright, you're going to have all of these countries out here pushing to be challenging and seeing who's going to be walking away with titles. We're going to be seeing turnover data every single week. We're going to get the chance to see how this format is going to evolve. And you're going to probably see some very interesting things. But if you're expecting this to be like last format, no, not at all. This is a completely new show. And I think YCS Rally is going to show a lot of people that the landscape for this meta is not what you genuinely expect. The loss of Baron and Borreload Savage, I'm still continuing to say this, actually shifted Yu-Gi-Oh! In such an insane direction that it feels like a brand new game. And that's maybe because we just came off of a tier 0 format. But, you know, that's fine. So, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.